Everybody. I am so glad that you're with us here today. We're going to wait a couple of minutes and let a couple more people get signed on. I have some thoughts for you guys that I wanted to share. So number one, I wanted to make sure that you guys know that I'm on Instagram at Tea with Brittany Lee. And if you guys want to follow me there, I'm going to do some fun new stuff and just kind of give a little bit of marketing advice and a little bit of information. I know a lot of our clients are in the coastal North Carolina region, and so we've been thinking about you guys, hoping that you guys are getting back to normal after Hurricane Florence and that Matthew isn't hitting you guys, or Michael, excuse me, isn't hitting you guys too crazy. So, but if you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm going to be putting up a lot of our post-hurricane strategy information for our marketing clients. So that may be helpful for you guys. Plus, we have a blog series that deals with how to deal with a natural disaster and some of the ways that VRM can actually help you get through a natural disaster without it being a huge issue. So, and being able to, download lists and things like that that you may need access to. So really good information there. And it was so crazy because I had asked George a while ago to come on and do this webinar with me. So really funny timing, funny, not funny, haha, but funny, interesting timing on when we decided to do the webinar and how we scheduled everything out. So I just want to take a second and thank you, George, so much for being on the webinar today. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to hear what you guys have to say about CSA and what you guys can do about, with travel insurance and what some of the latest regulations are and best practices. I know that there are probably going to be lots of questions due to all the recent storm activity out there in the Atlantic. So if you guys have questions, just pop them down into that Q&A section on your webinar window, and we'll be happy to get those answered for you. So I'll turn it over to George. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brittany. I'm really happy to be able to present today, and thanks for the great introduction. Obviously, we're in the midst of dealing with the kind of current Hurricane Michael and Tropical Storm Michael effects now. One of my representatives, Tony Santilli, is down. He lives in Panama City Beach, Florida, and we got word this morning he is okay and his house is okay, but I think his children need a new school to go to because that seemed to get pretty badly damaged. Anyway, we're certainly in a mode right now where our hearts and minds are going out to the people that had to suffer through the last Hurricane Florence and the current one. I was just over in our call center yesterday, and which is right down the hall from my office here, and it was just slammed with phone calls, and everybody was on the phone, and the claims department was equally busy. Anyway, enough about that, but I may fall back into that if time permits. So I'm George Meshkov. I'm the National Sales Manager for Generali Global Assistance, formerly and kind of currently known as CSA Travel Protection. We are in a rebranding effort right now, and I'll talk through some of that as we go along. What I hope to talk about today is travel insurance, talk about a bit of our rebranding, talk about some of the latest regulations that are hitting the industry, some best practices, and I'll also go through some scenarios of travel insurance so that you may be able to better understand the different coverages that are in the policies, and in the end, be able to best present those to your guests. And as well, have the owners of your properties know what it means when people purchase travel insurance as well. So I'll proceed a bit here, and we'll talk through some of our rebranding efforts. I'll try to be brief with this because, at the end of the day, I don't know how much you care about what we call ourselves, but just to know why and what is happening there might be of assistance to you. So 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And 10 years, if you think about 10 years ago, what happened 10 years ago, Google Chrome came out. That came out 10 years ago. George Bush was president. That was 10 years ago. So it was a long time ago that CSA was sold to a 200-year-old company called Generali. Generali is the third largest insurance company in the world, based out of Trieste, Italy. Although there are, in terms of travel, the U.S. provides the largest travel and travel insurance segment for Generali. We also have a medical cost containment company called GMMI, based out in Florida. Our Generali Global Assistance offices, which provide assistance services that are part of our policies, are also based out of Florida. In addition, we have an ID theft company that is known under the brand Generali Global Assistance that does similar things to what you may know a well-known company like LifeLock does. We just purchased a company called CareLinks, which is a marketplace for elder care. So we have a lot of different brands in the U.S. and do a lot of different things. Our company, CSA, Generali Global Assistance, is focused on providing travel insurance, and our largest market segment is the vacation rental marketplace, where one of our founders, Lee Hughes, invented travel insurance years ago, about 30 years ago, in conjunction with some ski operators in the West, and then shortly thereafter, some companies in North Carolina on the coast. So we started rebranding from CSA to Generali Global Assistance because our parent company said, well, we own companies all over the world, and why don't we try to leverage a brand name of Generali? And it sort of makes sense. CSA has some brand equity out there, certainly in the vacation rental market more, but at the end of the day, we want to be as well known as we can around the country and around the world. And at the heart of it, it's the same great service and same great people that you've known for years. You probably know Tracy Capel and Shannon McPeak, Gina Rodriguez, Carrie Saraki, Tony Santilli, Lee Hughes. These are all folks that have worked in the vacation rental market for years. I'm in the headquarters in San Diego, along with our claims, customer service, technology development. All of our accounting people are out here as well. We're a vertically integrated insurance company, and I'll let you know how that works and why that's kind of a cool thing. Our underwriter, Generali US branch, and our companies in Europe hold all of our risks. So as an insurance company, that's kind of an important thing. And all of our sales and account management are done with our company as well. So we don't outsource pieces of our company or our services, aside from a very, very minor couple that I'll talk to as we go on. We have over $600 billion in assets, and that's a good thing when storms like this hit, because the first storm, I think we wound up paying out, somewhere around $12 million. So that's, and that keeps growing. And I don't know what we're gonna face in this storm here, because it keeps going through the country at this point. Our underwriting is, again, part of our company. So when we need to make changes in product now, we can make them quickly and swiftly through our underwriting that's based both in-house and in our New York Generali US branch offices. All of our product management has been consolidated into our commercial team. That's really good, and I'll show you some new products that we came out with, and kind of part of the reason why it's good is we have a lot more control over creating new products for you. Our assistance services are part of our company, and claims and customer service are all part of our company. Now, what does that really mean? Well, what it really means is when somebody's guest gets hurt playing in the mountains or on the beach and needs to be airlifted and medevaced over to a locally capable hospital for the kind of injuries they've incurred. Not only is it our company that's doing that management of that evac, and our nurses that are sitting in the helicopter with them and going to the hospital, but it's also our medical cost containment group that when they go to the hospital, they're ensured that their care is going to be adequately charged for, and that things will be kind of in order with all of their care from a financial standpoint. All of our claims and customer service, again, one company, all in-house. So we have one team, one vision, and our sales is really at the arrowhead of out there talking to our clients and partners and working with each of you, not just from a sign up with us and sell travel insurance standpoint, but when a storm hits and you need somebody to help you with all the claims and the process. We have hurricane kits we send out. We have account managers for every account that help them when times get rough. So again, some of the advantages we have is we have superior agent sales training. We work with some of the largest companies in the country. We have customers that sell hundreds of millions or tens of millions of dollars, depending on the customer, of insurance. We have agents that are incredibly good at selling insurance along with their reservations, and we can teach you what we've worked with them to find out are all the best practices. So today's call isn't about that, but certainly our clients can call us for dedicated training so that you can understand the techniques that work the best for attaching travel insurance to reservations. Because even the best clients in the vacation rental market, their attach rate is typically somewhere in the 40% range for the best selling people. So there's a lot of reservations around the year that go unprotected. We want to try to make that a smaller amount. When a claim comes in, we have one claim representative that's specifically designated to that claim. Last year, our customer service manager won a Gold Stevie Award. I don't know if you know what the Stevie Awards are, but they're prestigious awards in the customer service realm. Again, we work with crisis management in terms of providing hurricane kits, and we have some toolboxes that can help you out with that. And also, we're regulatorily transparent. So if there's legal or illegal practices that we see happening, we tell people about them. I'll talk about them today because there's been some developments in the industry that everyone should know about to keep safe and to be fully informed. Just like when you're driving down the road, you want to know what the speed limit is. Want to know what a stop sign means. So we'll tell you about those things as they relate to insurance. We have two main product lines that we work with in this marketplace, and vacation rental travel insurance, which has hurricane coverage for cancellations, interruptions, and other benefits and perils that are covered. We have hurricane kits to make the processing very fast and easy. We do have best-in-class training for higher agent take rates. And when it comes to damage insurance, we've been in the damage insurance market for a long time. We sell over 1 million policies a year. It's a compliant and effective insurance solution to handle damage in the rentals. It takes the risk to us, and we handle all that risk. We pay over 90% of the claims, and we cover the replacement value of damaged items. And we'll talk a little more about that product as we go on. So we have some new insurance products because, as you all know, one size does not fit all. And I tried to bring a little bit of humor into things here. For some years, we actually worked with primarily a couple different products and didn't have a lot of flavors of those products. But with our new commercial formation, with product moved into our commercial division, and working in a different and newer capacity with our underwriting, we're able to bring products to market a lot faster. And we've done so in a couple cases, and those of you on the beach might not care so much about the ski and mountain, and those in the ski and mountain regions might not care so much about the Seaside coastal product, but I'm going to talk about them all so you can know at least the way that we're moving and operating today in terms of making product. So we do have a new product called the Seaside Coastal Travel Insurance. product. And this product has a bunch of new benefits. And before I talk about those, I'd like to step back a little bit and tell you how we got here. We looked at our current product and people's satisfaction points with it, any dissatisfaction points. We looked at all the other products that were being offered in the market by other insurance carriers. And we said, why don't we make the best product in the market and make one that will cover more than any other product will cover. And to do that, we looked very closely at everybody's products and filings and put together what we call the Seaside Coastal Travel Insurance product. I know it's a little bit redundant name, but it seemed to have a little ring to it. So there we go. One of the major features of this product that is worth noting is in the case of mandatory evacuation, most of the products out in the marketplace today, including our previous existing product, had the ability to cancel or interrupt your stay, but there was a 50% rule, and that 50% rule meant that if there was more than 50% of your stay remaining when the evacuation was lifted, you either had to return to your accommodation or you wouldn't get paid for that other part of the stay. That proved to be a little difficult because once somebody went home to Boston, they weren't about to turn around and they weren't going to go halfway and wait in a hotel while a hurricane passed through. So we created a product that would cover them for their entire week. And that coverage costs a little bit more, but not substantially that we found it deters guests from purchasing the product. So, and it fits within the North Carolina regulations for those of you that are based in North Carolina for insurance. So that is really cool. It's a much better coverage limit there. We also enhance sporting equipment coverages because these days we don't just go to the beach and sit there. Not all of us anyway. Some of us like to go to the beach and maybe they want to go fishing or they want to go boating or they want to go surfing and they bring their expensive gear down. And sometimes that gear gets lost or damaged or sometimes stolen. And we have additional coverages above and beyond our standard baggage coverage that we put in place. We also looked at some inconvenience situations that occur. And, in Florida this year, we saw a red tide come in and that, wasn't really covered by any travel insurance for cancellation. But we thought, and it's hard to cover for cancellation, just increases the cost of the insurance if you cover for too many different things. But what we could do is provide an inconvenience benefit. And based on our filings, we're able to provide a one-time inconvenience fee that if somebody's has beach closure due to red tide and in a certain circumference, that we can pay them a inconvenience fee. So that's pretty cool. And sorry, there's a little animation here. You see this too much on CNN, but so the other product that we have going for those of you in the mountain areas, we aptly named Ski and Mountain Travel Insurance. This product is really designed specifically for those in ski and mountain areas, has some different coverages available. One of the most popular and most important to people is the no snow coverage. No snow coverage is something that lets us cover in the event of during certain times of the year, December 15th to March 30th, if less than 50% of the attractions are closed, allows for cancellation or interruption of a trip. So this is a fantastic product in the mountain areas that we work in. People are switching to this product at a very, very fast rate. We also increase sporting equipment coverage due to the fact that people, when they go on a ski vacation, want to bring their gear. And that gear is expensive. We all like to bring expensive gear when we go somewhere, and it enhanced the baggage coverage with additional sporting equipment coverage as well. There are some additional coverages for things like road closures and other things, because sometimes in ski areas you get too much snow and you can't get to the darn mountain. So we have some different coverages in place there. And again, a lot of these benefits also come in place in the summertime. If things like golf courses are closed due to inclement weather for certain time periods, we can pay benefits as well in some of those scenarios. And a little other animation with our skier. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the reasons to purchase travel insurance. Well, one major reason is it's an expectation today. If you travel, and many of you are travel aficionados in the travel business, anytime you buy an airplane ticket, you're offered travel insurance. I buy airplane tickets, it seems like about 3 times a week because I'm traveling quite frequently, always offer travel insurance. If you're booking anything off an OTA, you're offered travel insurance. And be that a vacation rental, be it a hotel, be it a cruise, always offer travel insurance. So there's an expectation that you as a travel provider will also offer travel insurance. So don't be shy about it. Always ask for the sale of it because it's expected. And it lets you really, it protects your guests in a bunch of ways that we'll talk about, but it reinforces your cancellation policy because, as you know, sometimes people want to cancel. And if you have travel insurance offers, and if you've made the travel insurance offer and somebody does cancel their trip, whether they do or don't have travel insurance, if they have it, we're a go-to to see if our policies are going to cover their cancellation. If they don't have it, you can point out the fact that you have offered them travel insurance that would cover them or potentially cover them for some of their cancellation reasons. These days, there's important things regarding medical coverages, 24-hour emergency assistance services that people need. People go on vacation and not everybody stays healthy. Sometimes a child gets sick. In our policies, we have teledoc service. This is one of the very couple outsourced pieces of us. Teledoc lets you call a doctor, actually speak to a doctor, and you may know how hard it is to speak to your own doctor. You can speak to a doctor, have them help diagnose if it's an easily diagnosable condition, what the situation is. They can prescribe medicine. One of our reps woke up at a recent conference and his arm, he slept wrong. He did something, I don't know, maybe tried to lift too much weight in the hotel gym, but his arm would barely move, and called Teledoc. Teledoc talked to him, asked him a bunch of questions, and then prescribed some muscle relaxants that actually helped him a lot. So they can prescribe medicine, they can do all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of cool, some of the intricate features that are part of the travel insurance. Damage protection. So damage protection is, again, a product that covers accidental damage that can occur in your vacation rentals. Damage protection is a compliant way to handle insurance because, as I'll talk to in a little bit here, things like a popular trend that was going in the industry and still is of having a self-funded damage waiver, those have been shown to be illegal by a current regulatory settlement agreement that we'll talk to in a little bit towards later on in the presentation. So damage protection, when somebody breaks a vase like we're seeing here, well, they knock over a vase and it's something that would otherwise get charged in your security deposit. Those kind of things can easily be filed and covered under our policies. We see claims for, spilt food or wine on furniture all the time. We see claims for, somebody knocks into the TV and the TV falls over. We see claims for broken cooktops where someone bangs a pot down on a glass cooktop, which are very popular these days. All kinds of things. I mean, every day we see new claims that are different from any claims we've ever seen. So amazing how many ways people can break things in your properties. And it's also amazing how well we pay. We pay about 90% of all the claims that come in. And we pay the replacement value of them. So that takes the load off trying to figure out any sort of depreciated amount. We had somebody, this was actually in the Carolinas, that a child stained a bedroom floor. I think they got sick. And the mother tried to clean that floor, but they tried cleaning it with bleach. The bleach stained the carpet, and we had to replace the carpet. They were very happy that they took out this policy and that we covered them. And the property manager was equally happy. One thing that is well known is nobody likes when you withhold a security deposit. So the damage protection insurance is a compliant and effective way to protect your properties from accidental damage. So let's talk a little bit about some of these regulatory changes that have occurred in our industry. And what has been going on for the past number of years is insurance is not a federally regulated industry. It's regulated at the state level. And some of what that really means to you is that the state where you're a resident of dictates the insurance laws that apply to you as a consumer. So me in California, as a California state resident, if I were to file a complaint about how somebody sold me travel insurance, I wouldn't go to the state where you reside or where your business is. I would go to my state, California, and they would talk to me about, or I would talk to them about whatever problems I had. And thus the state of residence of the guest is the important factor when we look at travel insurance. The regulatory settlement agreement is the result of an investigation by all the state regulators of 43 different states that has gone on for a couple years, more than 2 years now, and they've looked at all the industry practices in travel insurance. Travel insurance was previously not really scrutinized that heavily like health or auto or home insurance was, because it's more of a niche market. But it has drawn enough attention that a major investigation by it was a market action working group called the MOG, all looked and investigated all of the major insurance carriers, and certainly all of the ones that play in our vacation rental industry. They made some major kind of announcements, and they made all the underwriters sign this regulatory settlement agreement. Settlement agreement means, you're paying fines, and everybody had some fines to pay. What the agreement made people agree to going forward is that a number of things. One, that opt-out insurance sales would be forbidden. We've told our clients that for years. Some other carriers had allowed it, but that practice of selling opt-out insurance is forbidden under the regulatory settlement agreement. Another thing that came out was that self-insurance of damage or of anything was also an illegal practice under the Act. So it defined insurance in a number of categories, and one of them was damage to a property for an accommodation. It defined that self-insuring or self-funding any kind of insurance or waivers was also against the regulations. So it made that practice against the rules. It also clarified and to some extent simplified travel agent licensing approaches. Right now, we can allow our agents to sell to residents of 48 states under what's called the Travel Retailer Act. And that basically lets you go through a simple PowerPoint and background check with us, and then all of your company can sell insurance under our license. The two states that are excluded from that are New York and Hawaii. So residents of New York and Hawaii can't be sold under this TRT. What that means is that you also have to get a state license in your state of residence, and then get non-resident licenses for New York and Hawaii if you wish to sell to residents of those states. So it's better, because previously, really to legitimately sell to all the residents, you'd have to get your state license and then 49 non-resident licenses, and that was basically impossible, and nobody did it except for a few large companies. So The other thing is it gives us a need and opportunity to have better products as we refile to accommodate some of the other things that came through in the regulatory settlement agreement. I mentioned self-funding of damage. I have a slide on that. Damage to accommodation is specifically designed as travel insurance. Self-funding, where a distribution participant without a valid certificate of authority to engage in the business of insurance undertakes the business of insurance as defined by insurance law in any of the states, is not allowed. So it again clarifies the licensing, makes it pretty easy for us today to get people set up and selling our insurance, and makes people have to understand that they need to present basically opt-in options for insurance. So you can't include, you can't line item, you can't pre-check the yes, I want insurance box. You have to have them empty. And this is just an example of how that might look. With the damage insurance, what we suggest is you present it in such a way that they either buy the damage insurance or have to pay a security deposit. This leaves you protected in the event that somebody has any sort of a damage claim. So just wanted to take you through some best practices. If we look at some of the large providers of insurance, and I mentioned large producers. Well, Delta sells insurance on every trip, right? They offer insurance on every trip. And they do some things that, as you look at your websites are things that may be important to think about. They mention, we recommend you add trip insurance. So they always recommend that. They give you, a yes in a nicer colored box than the no. They put green check marks with benefit statements. And if we look at United, they have some similar things as well. They have recommended the trip insurance. They have the benefit statements. In this case, they say, they say, if you say no, they want to remind you of how much you're not insuring. So that's important as well. And so I want to go through now some examples of travel insurance coverage and services. So let's just look at some of the standard benefits in the policies that we have. Trip cancellation covers the cost of the trip. So the insurance is sold as a percentage of the trip. And if somebody has to cancel and it's for one of the covered reasons, they get reimbursed 100% of the trip cost. Aside from hurricanes and weather events, natural disasters, most of the cancellations occur due to some very bad medical situation that happens to either one of the traveling members, one of their children, or one of their parents. And you've all probably taken the calls that are really unpleasant when someone says, I have to cancel my trip. This horrible thing happened in my family, and they either do have travel insurance and you go, thank God, and you refer them over to the travel insurance company, or they don't have travel insurance, and now you've got a tough decision to make because the owner maybe has the money already or is expecting the money for that reservation, and somebody's going to lose either their reservation investment or what they thought was coming in as a booking on their unit. And you lose your commission in either of those cases. Trip interruption coverage is a little bit more tricky, and that one covers if, one, somebody has to leave in the middle of a trip due to a covered reason, or two, they can't get to their accommodation for part of their trip. Maybe there was some sort of storm or common carrier interruption on the way to their travel to stay in one of your units, and they couldn't make it for 2 days. Now they only have 5 days of their trip remaining. They've got 2 days that they couldn't get there, and so they're out basically 2 of the days, and we can pay them if it's a covered reason for those 2 days they missed or however many days they may have missed. There's travel delay benefits in the policies, and again, in the case of some sort of carrier delay, They may need to stay in a hotel somewhere on the way, or even right where they're departing from. Maybe they had to drive 2 hours to get to Boston to fly out to come down to your property. In Boston, their flight got canceled due to some event, and they had to get a hotel and have some meals there. Baggage gets lost, and we have baggage coverage for that reason. Baggage also gets stolen and damaged. So our standard policies have $1,000 per person in them. Baggage also gets delayed. I've had that happen numerous times to myself, and we can pay based on the delay for somebody to basically get items they need until their baggage shows up. There's medical and dental coverages in the policies, and there's a lot of emergency assistance should somebody need to be transported to a medical facility or help returning home. Traveling companions can sometimes be included in that as well. Travel accident, an event somebody dies or loses limbs, or payable events. Rental car damage is a very, very interesting coverage. A lot of people will rent a car at their vacation rental destination, and this covers $25,000 of CDW, collision damage waiver, which is otherwise something they would often purchase at the car rental agency for a lot more than even our total travel insurance would cost. There's some other services: roadside assistance, concierge services, identity theft services, and teledoc, as I mentioned, that are included as well with our policies. So let's take a look at why guests typically use their travel insurance. Illness, injury, or death includes primary traveling companion or family members, mandatory evacuation, directly involved in traffic accident en route, common carrier delays or cancellations due to inclement weather, mechanical breakdown, or organized strike, interruption of essential services, road closure, military leave revoked, school year extension. In the case of the storms this year, we had people whose primary home became uninhabitable, so they couldn't really go on their trip. If someone's worked at a job for over a year and they get terminated, they can cancel their vacation with a policy. Acts of terrorism, we saw, unfortunately, a number of those, more last year than this year, but we had a lot of claims for those the previous year, and jury duty is another reason. So let's take a look at a couple examples of how insurance can come into play in a real-life situation. Trip cancellation. So in this case, we had a close family member of a policyholder that was hospitalized days before she's scheduled to stay at the vacation rental. As a result, she has to cancel the trip. So she contacted CSA before she canceled the reservation to get assistance and information about filing a claim. And while her family member is still in the hospital, we gave her the paperwork that needed to be completed by the hospital. So the guest says, hey, without this advice and forms, tracking down the information and signatures needed after the fact would have been a nightmare. After gathering the necessary medical and travel arrangements, she filed a claim. They had a full reimbursement of the trip costs. And though they aren't able to rebook the rental, the vacation rental doesn't lose any money due to the cancellation. So in this case, the trip cancellation benefit came into play. So here's another example of a family is sightseeing before hitting the slopes on a ski trip. One extra step backwards to get the perfect picture sent the father falling down some stairs. Well, he had to go to the emergency room. He had a fractured ankle, a string of medical bills for out-of-network treatment, and now a useless and non-refundable ski package because he had to go home. So the family used their medical and dental coverage to seek reimbursement. And they also had trip interruption coverage, which covered 150% of the family's trip costs. Family can claim compensation for the unused portion of the ski trip and additional transportation costs, because if you have to go home early, it's going to cost you more for an airline ticket. So in this case, trip interruption and medical and dental coverages came into place to help out this particular guest. And these are real real scenarios, even though we say they're hypothetical at the bottom. So a family vacationing in Florida is caught in the path of a Category 4 hurricane. This is way too real. Sorry, this is an old deck, so we didn't see this one coming. They use concierge services with their travel protection plan. Family gets help booking accommodations to leave the area as soon as possible. They're able to fly back safely. While claiming their baggage after the flight, family realized the frenzy getting to the airport. The daughter had lost one of her bags. So they filed a claim. They were reimbursed for their trip, their flight back home, and the daughter's lost possession. So trip interruption and baggage come into play in this scenario. So there's a lot of coverages in these policies, and the important thing that we're trying to get across here is sort of how some of these things can relate to these scenarios. So here's a situation where a policyholder loses consciousness, falls to the floor of their hillside vacation rental. They're rushed to the hospital by air ambulance, and they called our emergency hotline. General Global Assistance worked with the travelers and hospital to make sure he received all the medical attention he needed. It's determined the local hospital does not have the resources needed for this situation, and he's flown by helicopter to the nearest suitable hospital. Often our vacation rental destinations have medical facilities, but they might not be able to treat all of the situations that can come to play, and they have to be airlifted or taken by air ambulance to another location. So once the patient is stable, General Global Assistance arranged to send the travelers back to their hometown so the patient can continue to receive care from his own physician. The travelers file a claim and are reimbursed for the emergency transportation, hospital bills that their primary insurance didn't cover, and they also claim compensation for the unused prepaid portion of the vacation and additional transportation costs to return home from the hospital. So in this case, medical and dental came in, emergency assistance came in, and trip interruption, we didn't highlight that one. So those are some scenarios. Hopefully they help you understand a little bit more about how travel insurance can work. There are some objections that you guys get when you try to sell travel insurance, and we picked a few of the main objections that come into play. Some people say, my credit card will cover it. I've got a variety of credit cards, and now, being a travel insurance guy, I look at the coverages associated with each card. Some of them might have some CDW for car rental, but they might not have trip cancellation insurance. And they may cover me for something, but they may not cover everybody in my party for something. So it's important to have the guests think about what their credit card will actually cover. Unless they have an American Express Black card, it just might not cover all the things that a travel insurance policy would cover. We have a 10-day free look with our policies. We always recommend our agents say, purchase the policy today. You'll have all the coverage available. You can cancel within 10 days, provided you don't go on your trip or have any claimable events. And look and talk with everyone that's going on the trip about the coverage is available through your credit card, or if there's other coverages in the policy they might want. Other people will say things like, I don't think I need travel protection. So they say, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want travel protection. I don't want travel insurance. Well, just like we don't know when the car accident is going to happen, when the medical emergency is going to happen, we all have insurance for our cars, our homes, our health. And even though we don't think we might need it, it's really good to have it, because you're in a world of hurt if you don't have your insurance. So using some of those examples that, you don't know when the car accident is going to happen. You don't know when, the health situation is going to happen. You get insurance because of just that. You don't know. So similarly with the objection of I've never had to use travel insurance before, insurance is for the unexpected. And that's the main benefit of having insurance is unexpected things happen. There's unforeseeable events in the world. And if you have insurance, you can be covered for many of those events should they come to sort of attack your vacation plans. So those are just some tips on overcoming objections. I have a little bit of time left, but I think I've gone through most of the hour. You could certainly get my information from Brittany. My email is gxm@csatp.com. It's George Meshkov, and if there's questions, I can answer them. If there's other things you might want to talk about, or if you're not using us and you want to sign up for us or talk about some of our new products, we're happy to do that as well. So with that, I thank you for your attention and time today. And
awesome.
Brittany, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of that information. That was really good. I loved that you were able to give a little bit of a script on, what are some of the reasons why people may not consider travel insurance and they actually need it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up some questions. I want to just thank Vicki Cook and Kathy Medlin for emailing in questions in advance. And I want to thank Stephanie because she always sends me questions during the webinar. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your engagement and for asking questions. I really appreciate it. It makes the webinar so much more interactive. So now is the point where if you guys have any questions or you want to know anything specifically, we have George's undivided attention, so he can help us today. And if he doesn't know the answer, he can always get you an answer from somebody who does know the answer. So if you have a question, go ahead and pop it down in the little Q&A section. I'm going to start with the emailed in questions, if you don't mind taking these questions.
Yeah, go ahead. And I see Stephanie asked one, so I'll answer hers after that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Vicki says, I would like to know how CSA handles travel delays after a hurricane. What do they base it on? With Hurricane Florence, we were fine right on the coast, but getting here through certain counties in North Carolina was, there was too much flooding and things like that, so they couldn't. Is potential covered, basically, is what she's asking.
So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to answer this the way that you've asked your question or not, but let me try. So travel insurance covers what happens. Travel insurance doesn't cover the fear of what could happen. So if there's a hurricane coming through and there's not a mandatory evacuation ordered, and someone says, wow, it looks like, I don't know if the hurricane's going to hit you or not, but I just don't want to travel anymore. The fear of the fact that, there may be a hard path to get there, or they might get there and now an evacuation's called, that isn't typically covered. But when the evacuation is called, or if there is an actual road closure, those things are covered. So, that becomes, so I think that kind of addresses the whole potential part of it, that if somebody's just worried about something, unfortunately the travel insurance doesn't cover it. But if there is an actual event, then absolutely it is covered.
Awesome. Okay. So I have one more emailed in question, and then we can get to the ones that were submitted in the webinar, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kathy Medlin sent this question in, and she's actually from Topsail Island. They were one of the ones that were really affected by Hurricane Florence. And she said, this may not be a you question, but what about guests without travel insurance or guests with travel insurance who deny the charges on their credit card, and now they have chargebacks adding to the problems that they're already having? Is that something that you guys experience? Is that something that you guys help deal with? How can having insurance kind of play a role in that?
Okay. Well, before I answer, I just want to, and I don't know if Kathy Medlin remembers me, but years ago, I was in the software sales business before I was ever in the insurance business. And I went into Kathy Medlin's office to try to peddle some vacation rental software. And she was the nicest person. She sat down with me, gave me a cup of tea, like, gave me all the time in the world to talk with her. I don't know that she ever actually wanted to purchase the products I had, but she was just the nicest person in the world. So I just want to put that out there. That was, that was a long time ago in my long career in this vacation rental industry, probably,
Aw.
20
Well, good
years
news.
ago.
Kathy is still this same super nice person.
Yeah. So anyway, just putting that out there. So if somebody doesn't buy travel insurance, that puts them in sort of this unfortunate position where, you've offered them insurance, they didn't buy it, and now they're in the throes of a very bad situation. And unfortunately, if they don't have insurance, they're not in a favorable position. And again, be it travel insurance, be it a whole lot of other kinds of insurance. If they don't have it, they're not in a good situation, and they don't have coverage. And also, if they've charged it back on their credit card, they've just charged back the policy that could have saved them in a bad situation. So they once again don't have insurance, and it's unfortunate that they can't can't be covered because they've declined it or essentially sold it back. So those are both kind of unfortunate situations. So I have a few questions that came in by text, and one of them says, does the Seaside Coastal Travel Insurance product act as a secondary option for guests if a PM offers it and currently sells the general travel insurance policy, or would this be a replacement? It would, in fact, be a replacement. So if you want that new product, then you would call us up and we'd say, let's sign you up for the new product. This is a good time of year to do that. I know people are rebooking, maybe some of them already rebooked, but good time of year to switch over to the new product. We tried to get it out in time that people could actually use it for the upcoming 2019 reservations. Vicky Cook asked, do we offer insurance to guests traveling from Canada? Yes, you can. So if you make the reservation and you sell insurance, we will honor it.
So my question along with that is not just Canada, but, I know a lot of rental managers may even have people from overseas, Europe and places like that. Does that still apply to somebody who lives in a different country?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, awesome.
It does. And another question is, are we now no longer permitted to offer travel insurance on the lease and have them check the box to decline it? Am I hearing correctly? We can't require the guest to take accident insurance that we have to offer either accidental insurance or a security deposit on the contract. Yeah, I mean, be it lease or online, it's insurance is something the guest has to choose to purchase it. So you can have boxes that, you can have additional things that say, yes, I'm absolutely declining insurance, but they have to check a box to get into the insurance. And typically that's online, but if you're asking about leases, it's really kind of the same thing. And we can't require damage insurance, but we can say you either need to take damage insurance or put a security deposit down. So that was another question that came in. And any of these things we're always happy to talk more about. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that a lot of times one of the things that I don't see rental managers do is actually send out emails to your lists, letting people know that travel insurance can be purchased after they've already made the reservation, as long as they're within a certain time frame. So maybe even just thinking about some of the ways that you can use some of the VRM tools. And I would really encourage you, look into not just into email marketing software, because you can send out a reminder for travel insurance through your email marketing software if you have one, but also using Welcome Home through the VRM system can send people reminders. Hey, you haven't purchased travel insurance. Here are some reasons why you may want to do that, and writing a really good page on your website to send people to that they can actually look at, kind of like what we walked through today with George, about why they may want some interesting facts about why they may want travel insurance, how it can protect them, little things like that, because when I think of travel insurance, and I've been in the industry for a while, I just think of, natural disasters or whatever, and people are thinking, oh, it's not hurricane season. They don't necessarily think like, oh, what if I get injured, or what if somebody else gets injured, or what if I have to cancel my trip because I have the flu or something crazy. So giving them some other examples, and maybe even putting some reviews of people that have purchased travel insurance and used it through your company, and how easy that was. That's a really great way for you to make a little bit more money, and for you to keep your renters protected and to keep your owners protected as well. So I just want to say thank you so much, George, for all of the information today. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved the
I want to interrupt, but Vicky has one more question, and I want to clarify this because this may be tough. And I totally agree with you. Second chance sales, use all the tools available through VRM to do it. And Vicky's question is, what about selling to New York and Hawaii guests? So let me answer this fully. You can sell under our license, under our CSA General and Global Assistance license, to guests of 48 states easy without doing any other state licensing. To sell to residents of New York and Hawaii, all you have to do, and this isn't that hard because most of you already have one of these licenses today, is get the state license that you are a resident of for selling travel insurance. And there's no tests required, there's no examinations, there's no classes, easy stuff. You get that, and then you apply for the New York non-resident and Hawaii non-resident licenses. So those are very easy things to do. And then you can legally and legitimately sell to residents of New York and Hawaii. So it's just a couple other steps. Some companies are large companies and they go, you know what, I want to sell to everybody. And some companies say, you know what, I really don't get anybody from Hawaii, so I'm not going to get the Hawaii non-resident license. New Yorkers are pretty populous, and they're all over the place, and they like to travel. So we definitely recommend you get the New York licenses. So anyway, if you have more questions about that, we're here to help. So thanks a whole lot. Really appreciate everybody's time.
Awesome. Thank you for catching that question. I'm so glad you saw Vicky's question. I didn't even see it pop up. So awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for signing on to Tea with Brittany Lee today. I really appreciate all of your support and your time. Don't forget that if you want to follow me on Instagram, all you got to do is go to Instagram and type in @Tea with Brittany Lee. And I'm over there if you want to join in. I'm going to do like a little tour of my brand new RV that I've been living in for the last 4 or 5 months. And I'm do like tours of where we're going and stuff. We're going to be going some pretty cool places. So, if you want to join along, please do. I would love to have you along for the ride. We're going to do some fun stuff over there, and I'll be promoting some of the VRM blogs so that you guys can actually see what's going on in VRM and some of the new features coming up. So thank you again for signing on today, and thank you, George, for all your time, and we really appreciate it. Don't forget to catch the replay of this webinar on our website, virtualresortmanager.com/blog. It'll be live tomorrow morning, first thing, so you guys can watch it. And we'll talk to you next time on Tea with Brittany Lee. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.